I forgave myself because I was like, first of all, what was I doing having sex as an adult without a condom in this day and age, right? Like, I had to call myself out on these things, but also from a place of kindness and say, okay, this happened. I take full responsibility, but I forgive myself. Hi guys, welcome back to my I Am Unafraid podcast. So we're going to talk about single parenting. Now, this is for me and for other parents out there who are on this journey on their own. Because I also get a lot of, I think because I've really harped on the fact that I'm a single parent. I've written about it on my social media. I have done previous episodes. And so I've gotten a lot of people just coming into my inbox and asking me about life as a single parent. The funny thing is, I've also watched couples get married, separate, divorce, and become single parents. So there are a lot of new, fresh people beginning to parent on their own as mature adults. And, you know, I've been here for a while. So I'll say I have earned the stripes to comment. But there's something that I want to approach this from a different angle, right? There's certain things that we as single parents never really talk about. And I think for me, it's more of, maybe not even talk about, but it's more of the things that we endure that people sometimes never really think that we endure or are important to be sensitive around. So one of the things that I've found as a single parent on my journey, I've been at it for the last 10 years, fully solo for seven years, fully solo for 7 years. And then, you know, the last 3 years, there's been some assistance, right? And for starters is, I've always found myself apologizing for my status, like trying to make an excuse for my child. And I do it in advance, and I've done it in advance so that I'm excused as a parent. If my child behaves badly, I'm like, guys, by the way, me, I'm suffering. I'm a single parent, so so we sometimes and understandably, the reason being, it's hard. Okay, a lot of people look at me and look at my life, and they add things. They observe me and they're like, okay, Lillian has a career, she's running a business, she's not doing so badly in her business, or she doesn't look like she's suffering. Because guys, I don't strive to look like I'm suffering, even if I would be. But so there's always the assumption, right? So, but even with that assumption, sometimes deep down, it's almost like we beg the world for mercy, to be kind to us. We are afraid to be judged. And it's because the world really has been very harsh with parents who are raising kids on their own, and especially mothers. I know dads catch the flack, but I always feel like for dads, it's almost like single dads, it's almost like they can carry their badge with honor. Like, I am a single father and I'm taking care of my son, and it's such a celebratory thing. But when it comes to mothers, it's almost like there's something wrong with you. Nobody will ever think to wonder how someone became a single mother. Even if, let's say, they got married, the spouse passed on, as long as you're a single mother or a single parent, it's almost like you have to apologize, because it's like you've made a mistake, right? So one of the things I want to say to the single parents out there, especially the single mothers, is stop apologizing for your status. Like stop it. Like, just stop it. We explain ourselves too much, and we don't need to. We don't need to prove anything to anybody. And again, I'm speaking about this with my chest out there. Like, because I used to really be apologetic, and like I've talked about it before, where I would go for a meeting. I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I'd be going for these entrepreneur forums and meetings and stuff, and we're asked to introduce ourselves, and I'd be there already apologizing to strangers. Hey, I'm a single mother, and I'm like, okay, we're in a business forum. People don't need to know that I'm a single mother. It's not like parents go and say, I am a mother, or I'm a husband, or I'm a wife. Sometimes people do that, but it's not a thing that you'd find not everyone doing it. But I find that amongst single mothers, we have tended to do that because we are always declaring the status so that the world can be kinder to us. But we don't need to do that, and I just want to encourage the parents out there, you don't need to do that. So stop it, okay? Now, something else that people don't know is, and I guess like parenting for everybody in general, whether you're doing it alone or with somebody, many of us, we struggled through the entire journey. But then we act like we're not struggling because we want to win points with the world. We want to be told, oh yeah, she's a single mother, but she's doing so good. Oh yeah, she's a single mother, but kind of thing. We need to also stop doing that. But guys, we really struggle through the entire journey. We have our moments when we have our highs, Like I'll give you an example. Over and above being a single parent, I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I have never, since 2007, when I started my journey of entrepreneurship, I have never had a solid, consistent income at the end of the month. So usually I joke about it, like when people ask me, why are you single? And I'm like, it's because I'm an entrepreneur. Because my income is up and down, up and down. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there, And somehow, because of our personality as entrepreneurs, we've made it work. But let me tell you, being an entrepreneur and being a single parent is not easy, right? So we will overcompensate a lot, right? And I remember, not only am I an entrepreneur, but I'm also I am a homeschooler, so I homeschool. So sometimes I have questioned my decisions about homeschooling my kid. It's aided homeschooling, so I don't do it 100% on my own, but it's still homeschooling. And sometimes it's one of those things that when you see your child not doing as great in a subject, you're almost like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's like anything that you do wrong in your journey as a single parent is almost magnified because you're a single parent. And people don't know that. People will tend to criticize parents who parent alone or parents who decide, because there's the one of you woke up, you are not a single parent, and then you found yourself a single parent. But then there are those who deliberately decide, by the way, I'm done with this relationship, I'm walking out. Or there are some who are more progressive and they decide, you know what, I just want a baby. I usually don't advocate for that, but there are people who do that. Sometimes, we overcompensate, and it's tough because we are always under pressure to perform. We are always under pressure to perform, to look like we are winning at the journey, even when sometimes we are not winning, right? So we need to stop doing that as well. That's one of the that's the third thing to stop doing. Now, how do you then cope as a single parent? For those who, especially the younger people, I guess people like me who have done it for 10 years, I guess we kind of have an idea. But people who have just become mothers for the first time, how do you cope? What I always say, number one, when you start this journey, forgive yourself, right? Why I say this is because it's very easy. A lot of my friends ask me, how have you managed, because I co-parent with the father of my child, and we have a very cordial, positive co-parenting relationship. And sometimes people look at me and like, how are you co-parenting with, and they don't understand it. But I think for me, what really helped was from the first day I knew I was going to be a single parent, and that was when I was carrying my baby. I immediately went on a journey of forgiveness. I forgive my partner, but more importantly, I forgive myself. And this is why I forgive myself. I forgive myself because I was like, first of all, what was I doing having sex as an adult without a condom in this day and age, right? Like, I had to call myself out on these things, but also from a place of kindness and say, okay, this happened. I take full responsibility, but I forgive myself for making the wrong decision. And once that happened, once I forgave myself, the journey has been easier. It has not been easy, but it has been easier, right? Now, I talk about the fact that I personally, at this point in time, don't necessarily advocate for sex before marriage at all. I have changed my stance over the years. I mean, before I was like, okay, do you. But just journeying as a parent on my own, I'm just like, nah, if you can avoid it, please, by all means. But let me put a disclaimer. I know that we live in a very fluid world. We live in a generation where people do what they want to do. And I'm not trying to police anyone who decides that they want to have sex outside marriage. I just think, especially for women, it's not, what's the word? Unless you're ready for the consequences, which I think a lot of us who end up in this space were never ready. If you've not thought through it, I think just don't have it, because it invites a lot of things. So that's my disclaimer. Now, obviously, I'm not condemning that behavior because, hey, here I am, a single mother. So yes, I did have sex outside marriage, right? But statistically, I can tell you most single parents struggle. So that's why I'm putting in that please don't do it if you don't have to. They're the ones who plan to do it. They have, let's say, I've seen celebrities actually deciding to go be mothers, and they go and adopt kids, and they do it on their own, and they're successful. Kudos to them. But if you're not a celebrity and you don't have the finances, and people always joke with in Kiswahili we say mtoto anakuja na sahani yake. Yeah, mtoto anakuja na sahani yake. But guys, I've been at this for 10 years. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job raising my 10-year-old. But it's been hard. So this is the reality. So we can make all these comments, but if you are not ready, just don't do it. Okay, so I said forgive myself. Forgive your ex as well. But, these days, people, let's say, don't go burning sage in your house. Oh, I'm removing demons in my house and everything. I'm forgiving my ex. No, guys, just forgive them in your heart. Just pray. Forgive them. Don't go into witchcraft. And I say this because nowadays, hey, you guys, man, there's a lot of interesting stuff. And I'm going to talk about this witching stuff that you guys are on. You guys are on a very serious, some of you are on very serious witching, witchcrafting, warlocking stories. I think I'll save that for another podcast. So forgive your partner. If you need to go for therapy, please go for therapy, right? Don't raise your child bitter with your ex. Don't keep your child from your ex unless they're a murderer or a rapist or a criminal. But if they're just people that you didn't get along with, find a way or talk to me. I tell you how to deal with having a cordial relationship with your co-parent, the father of your baby. And like I said earlier, drop the label that you're not a single mother, you're not a single dad, you're just a mom, you're just a dad. Okay, and be proud of that. Don't keep on saying single, because it doesn't even make sense to say I'm a single mother. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me anymore anyway. And remember, and be kind to yourself. Remember, at the end of the day, you as the single parent or the single mother especially, you made the choice. You chose your child. You could have taken your child to an orphanage. You could have left your child at a hospital. You could have taken them to your grandmother's and forgotten about them. But you made the choice So please be kind to yourself. Be proud of your decision. Don't use the label of single motherhood to take away your what is it called, your the progress you've made or the good choice that you made, because you made the best decision. Warranted if you are and sometimes we make these decisions on our own. I mean, like I keep on saying, if you slept with your partner without a condom and you fell pregnant, I don't know if you can really blame your partner 100% for leaving, because you are an adult, right? So yeah, that's just my take. So give yourself credit. You may hate where you are. You may hate the place you're in, but the only adult in the room who agreed to stay with the baby is you. So tap yourself on the shoulder. And then stop playing to the gallery. Stop trying to show the world you're doing a good job. I used to do that. I used to try and show that I am such a fantastic single parent, And then at a point I was like, this is not sustainable. So let me give you an example. As a single parent, sometimes you can't do it all. Like you can't give your child what sometimes two-parent homes can. So let me give you an example. Like part of the reason why I decided to homeschool was because I was getting exhausted. First, like I said, I am an entrepreneur. Then I am a single parent. Then I have to attend school events and show up at all these school events. I have to be there for my child publicly when we attend these school events. So for me, it was getting strenuous because there were some times when I couldn't make it to a school event and other parents for other kids were going to this event. And then my daughter is there, her parents are not there. And I was just like, why am I trying so hard? And I was feeling like I was really trying hard to prove that I can do it all, that I am a fantastic mom, that even as a single parent, I am doing this, I'm thriving. But guys, I was struggling, right? So what I decided to do is I'm not going to play to the gallery. So I remember even there's a time where I have a friend and, she has she's married and she has kids and, she takes her kids for these things that all parents want to do for their kids. Like, there's this, what is it called? Little Einsteins. Little Einsteins is like an IT computing robotics camp for kids that happens either on weekends during school terms or during the holidays. They have like a camp or something. And there are all these many activities and many groupings that happen and events that happen for kids. And I would see my friend taking her kids, two of them, to these events and these camps. And I'd be there saying, okay, I also have to take my baby. She has to go for robotics. She has to go for IT. She has to go swimming. She has to do ballet. She has to do music. We have to buy an instrument. And I was just like, first of all, I called myself to a meeting at a point and I was like, Lillian, you're on your own and your resources are not like for your neighbor or for your best friend or for these other people that you're seeing out there just doing everything for their kids. I had to just call myself to a meeting and just say, you know what? I cannot play to the gallery. I am me, and I have the responsibility of raising my kid with a sober mind. Like, I cannot be losing my mind trying to impress the world and show the world that I can do it. I can take my kids on holidays. At some point I was just like, hey, this is not working. Let's just take a chill pill. So I'm just going to say to the single mothers out there, the single parents generally, just do you. Even if you go to no event with your kids the entire year, they're not going to die, by the way. I remember when we were younger, and we were living, there's a time there we were living with my cousins, and they had lost both their parents, so they were orphaned, so they came to live with us. And we were always a full house of kids. It was a really interesting time. And I don't remember us, we were so many kids, my parents could not always take us to events or take us to the park or take us to a restaurant, and prior to my cousins and our other relatives, because we always had relatives, if you come from the Luya community or the Western community, you find that we tend to live a lot with our relatives. So there are always relatives in the house. So because I remember there was a time there in my family, in our home, we were like 11 or 14 people in that house. Whereas before that, we were just like, it was just my dad, my mom, my older brother, and myself. And then my small sister came later. So it was easier then when we were smaller to do stuff. But then you're like now 14, 15 people in a house with adults and children. There's no way we're going to make it to the park, to restaurants, to fancy. There's no way. There's no way. So at a point, we just used to sit in the house and entertain ourselves. So like for me, I always tell my daughter, you need to learn to entertain yourself. Find something to do. Like I cannot be your entertainment, and going out is not always an option, right? So yes, don't play to the gallery. The world doesn't care in terms of, like whether you're a good parent or not. They will judge you anyway, even if you're a good parent. Yeah. And then something else, life goes on. That's what I never thought this in the beginning. I always thought, oh my God, I'm a single mother. But now, having done it for like 10 years, and hoping that I'll just continue on being a good mother, I realized that life goes on. Life goes on and healing comes. So what I would recommend is start working on your healing. Now, let me tell you guys, from the moment I discovered I was pregnant, healing was my modus operandi. It was my agenda. I was like, I'm not going to be one of those bitter single mothers who's always angry at my child, angry at my situation, angry at just people, right? So for me, for some people, therapy works. Therapy, I can't say it didn't work for me. Let me put it this way. I remember attempting to go for therapy. And this is with due respect to all the therapists out there. I know you do an amazing job. But I remember for me, why it didn't work is because I wasn't able to afford to go for the sessions. I mean, I remember one of the therapy sessions was like 3,000 a session, 3,000 Kenya shillings a session, 5,000 Kenya shillings another therapist. There was one who was 9,000 Kenya shillings. And the thing with therapy is that you have to find the therapist that works for you. You kind of have to have some rapport, right? For it to work. Not all therapists are for everyone, right? So by the time you find your therapist, so I remember the one that I really wanted to work with, when I did the math, I was like, okay, I went for the first session, it was 8,000 bob. I was like, I cannot afford, because I'm already thinking, I have food to put on the table, I have school fees to pay, I have life to do. I cannot afford 8,000 shillings a session. And that was a therapist that worked. There were others that were cheaper, like there was one that was 3,000, there was 2,500, but I was like, I want the one of 9,000, 8,000. So what worked for me was people ask me why I'm so spiritual. That is what happened. I just went into my spiritual life and I began to develop a relationship with God. And that is what has kept me to date, right? So my advice is for those who believe in God, I think God works. I don't think you need to go for therapy. But if you do feel like you need it, then find one that works for you. And if not, these days online, there's a lot of content. Of course, you have to be very careful as well in terms of the content these days. But there are so many tools that we have now at our disposal that our parents didn't have, right? So therapy works. If it doesn't work for you, please, if you're a Christian, I advocate Jesus is the answer. Yeah, anywho. So, yeah, and like I said, as I wind up, all good things come to those who wait. I could say that. Life moves on. I could say that. We grow and we mature. And if we have the spirit of learning and adjusting, God has given us the capacity to adjust and cope with every situation. Yeah. So, that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have any comments, please send me comments about this episode. If you're a single parent and you want to talk about it, please let me know. We can have a discussion and I can possibly walk you through the journey on the side. But that being said, thank you very much and see you soon. Bye. bye.